Well, the state's agriculture community has been hit hard again by severe flooding that occurred earlier this month, particularly in North and Northeast Arkansas. Randy Veach, president of the Arkansas Farm Bureau, is here to discuss this and several other topics. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Good to have you with us.
We're good to be here, Robbie.
Let's talk about this flooding that has taken place. It really devastated quite a bit of farmland in Arkansas. Again, you know, we seem to have these floods every couple of years. How big is this one in comparison? What are your estimations of how big this is?
Well, we're looking at probably over 600,000 acres were adversely affected, but over 360,000 of those were probably complete loss. And so we see a big portion of acres that's affected, and it's a big part of, you know, the state's economy, and this flooding is really going to be a devastation not only to our farmers and ranchers, but also to the state's economy. We're going to see it in there, Roby.
You got a dollar figure estimated of damage so far?
Yeah, we're between 175 and 200 million right now, and it could even go over that. We still don't have all the water off. The farmers and ranchers do not know exactly all the damage completely yet, and see if those crops, any of those will survive, and probably won't. The water's been on this long, so we're probably going to be 100% loss on those.
What's the hardest hit crop? What's the least hardest hit crop?
Out of the acres that are affected, 50.1% of those are rice acres. And, you know, 90% of the rice, over 90%, and over 90% of the corn was already planted, so you can see where those acres are. Now, there was a lot of soybeans too, and some cotton lost also on the acreage, and then of course our ranchers out there lost some cattle and fencing and infrastructure. There's going to be a lot of infrastructure out there. It's gone, roads and bridges, farm to market roads and stuff like that. It's got to be repaired. So there's losses all over, but probably in the acreage that was lost, the 50.1% of that was rice, was one of the biggest.
Every time that there is a devastation like this, we always turn to the federal government for loan relief and disaster funding, and again, just some of the funds that may repair some of the infrastructure that's damaged as well. Why? It's big dollar amount, so I guess that's why the state doesn't take it on. But if we had a $15–20 billion industry in Arkansas, which agriculture is, I'm pretty sure we'd be knocking ourselves over to make sure that that we do more at the state level. Why do we not do more at the state level?
Well, I think that part of what you said there, being such a large industry, over 20 billion, brings into the state's economy the largest industry in our state. So federal relief is more in line and helpful. Now, the state's doing all they can for sure. You know, our governor's out there, he's concerned about it and doing everything they can. So we're working for the state, also with the state, and we've had our state FSA director to declare 37 counties, disaster counties, and 21 contiguous counties. Those will be for physical damage, which will bring us into some low interest loans where they can replace shops, grain bins, barns, fencing, and even some livestock can get some replacement of livestock on this
it's
on these
not
programs.
Enough. That doesn't make anybody 100% though, does it?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not going to make anybody 100%.
So let's shift gears a little bit here, because one of the things that the state of Arkansas does do for farmers is there are quite a few agriculture exemptions in the state tax code. We know this week there's going to be a long-term look at tax reform, tax relief. The governor and I think a lot of legislators want to flatten the tax rates out a little bit, which would remove some exemptions. Are you guys going to fight tooth and nail for all those exemptions? Or are you for giving up some exemptions to get a little more flatter tax rate?
We're going to fight those exemptions. We're going to hold on to those exemptions if we can at all. We're certainly concerned about those. I think that most of our state senators and representatives understand the importance of agriculture, and our governor does, and I think that those exemptions, but are needed for the state's economy. I think that especially coming off of this disaster with the flooding and everything, but you know, on top of that, Roby, then since 2013, the net farm income has dropped 60%. Right. And so we're looking at all of this is kind of a perfect storm for agriculture, so those exemptions are extremely important to us to keep the largest industry in our state going.
All right, last question for you. Earlier last week, Sonny Perdue, the new U.S. Agriculture Secretary, said he supports loosening up some credit requirements in order to do more trade with Cuba. That's not going to hurt your cause any, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, we've got a really big customer that's just 90 miles off our coast, and they need our commodities to, keep their families going and keep their economy going and all that. They need our commodities down there. I think that he made a great statement, and he said, if we grow it, we want to sell it, and that's exactly what we feel like in agriculture. And so he said he was supportive of the bill that Crawford has, 525, that would loosen up some of those financial restrictions on private loans for commodities to be sold to Cuba.
Am I going to see trade with Cuba in my lifetime, Randy? If I live to be 100?
I think you will. I really think you will. I think the Cubans have got to show us that through trade with the United States that they're going to help better the lifestyle of the citizens in Cuba. And I think that way Congress could get on board as long as they seize the movement in that direction.
All right. Keep me posted on everything ag. You always do a great job of that. I appreciate you very much.
Appreciate you very much.
Randy Veach. All right. That's all for today's program. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.